It turns out if you don't have these 5 traits, your book will fail. We've published thousands of authors over the last decade, and specifically over 100 authors in the last 90 days. And we did a study and found that they all have these 5 traits. Some of these will surprise you. Some of these are pretty obvious, but I want to break it down because if you want to get your book published, you gotta do these 5 things. It turns out there's 5 traits that differentiate wannabe authors from the people who actually get their books done. The New York Times says that 81% of people wanna write a book. We know that less than 1% of people actually do it. Well, why is that? What's the difference? It's these 5 things. So that's what we're gonna break down in this video. What are the 5 things? They're traits that anyone can replicate. So I'm gonna break it down so that you can get your book done. Let's dive in. Number 1, they chose to self-publish. Now this might seem obvious since we're self-publishing.com. We can help people no matter which path they choose, but I gotta tell you, there's a few fundamental differences, especially if you wanna get your book done faster. Self-publishing, it's become the preferred option for most authors. It used to be the backup plan, right? It's like, oh, you're self-published. It was the thing that you only did if you couldn't get a publishing deal. Well, why is that? Well, that's because the only way you sold books was to get into bookstores. The only way to get into bookstores was to have a publisher. The only way to have a publisher was to have an agent and, right? So there's all of these kind of gatekeepers and middlemen in that process. Well, now, staggering stat, over 70% of all books sold are sold on Amazon and other online retailers. And guess what? You don't need a publisher to publish on those platforms. So there's 3 big benefits to self-publishing. Number 1, you get your book done faster. Okay, the traditional publishing process takes a minimum of 2 years. If you self-publish, it could take, a year or a decade, depending on how self-disciplined you are. We find on average, our authors at self-publishing.com, it takes them somewhere between 9 to 18 months, right? So our goal is to save them hundreds, if not thousands of hours in the process. So you get the book done faster, but then secondly, you keep all of the rights and royalties. So it's the upside. I like to say self-publishing is entrepreneurial publishing. It's betting on yourself. You got to cover the upfront costs, but you keep all the upside. And then the third one, this is a big one. You've got full autonomy. You can write whatever you want. You can publish whatever you want. And then most importantly, for a lot of people, you can integrate that book however you want into your business. So that's the first trait and thing that these folks had in common. Number 2, they committed to getting their rough draft done. This seems obvious. Obviously, you got to get your rough draft done to publish your book, but I'll tell you, this is where most people get tripped up. We have literally walked thousands and thousands and thousands of authors through this process. This is the demarcation point. There's people who dream about their book, they type some stuff into a doc, and then they give up. You've probably been there, that dreaded blinking cursor of death just taunting you. There's people who, they got 5 perfectly written chapters in their unfinished book. Ooh, maybe that hits a little too close to home. So they write and then they edit, and they never get their draft done. So I got to tell you, when you're getting started, this is the most important milestone. Until you get your rough draft done, nothing else matters. Okay, so you're gonna think about your marketing plan, you're gonna think about your title. Oh, I should have a cover. Maybe I should start learning about 17 other things not related to writing. There's the joke that, when a writer's on a deadline, because that's when they're on social media, right? That's when they're doing anything but write. So you gotta write. And until your rough draft's done, you gotta kind of put the blinders on and just chase that rough draft finish line. Once you get the rough draft done, you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You start to believe that this is possible because you see a finish line. I know I'm just hammering this point, but this is something, if we end up working together, we're gonna keep you laser focused on that. Even if we don't, you gotta laser focus on getting your rough draft done. Number 3, they became friends with Sam. Now, who's Sam? I'll never forget. I wrote and published my first couple books as I was dropping out of school. The books started bringing in income. They started paying the bills when I dropped out. But then I wanted to go bigger. I wanted to go from successful book to successful business and use the book to grow the business. And it wasn't going well. All right, I got to shoot you straight. There was a point where all of my bank accounts were negative. I borrowed $15,000 in what I call triple F financing. I don't know if you've heard of this, but triple F financing is friends, family, and fools. These are the only people dumb enough to give me money at this stage of my business. I remember literally, going to make myself some food, and all I had were these 2 end pieces of a loaf of bread and some peanut butter, which is just as dry and disgusting as you're probably imagining right now. It's a texture slightly better than sandpaper. So I'm eating sandpaper sandwiches thinking there's got to be a better way. Like, what am I doing wrong and how do I fix it? Now, I'm a big fan of this concept I'll tell you about in just a second, which is who, not how. So I found a mentor. I said, hey, what am I doing wrong? How do I fix it? He said, well, you need to meet Sam. I said, perfect. Who's Sam? Why do I need to know him? He said, well, Sam is sales and marketing. Right? He said, Chandler, if you don't learn this, your business will continue to struggle. Your books won't sell. But on the other hand, if you do learn it, your books will sell as much as you want. Your business will grow as fast as you want because people always need more leads and they always need more customers. So that whether you're working for someone else, whether you're working for yourself, or whether you're trying to sell more copies of your book, you got to learn sales and marketing. Now I realize this might be the part of the video where I lose half of you because you might be thinking, I hate Sam. In fact, comment, I hate Sam if you don't like Sam. I'll tell you, I was in the same boat. And so I told him, I don't know if you ever get advice from someone and then you just immediately think of why that advice doesn't apply to you. Well, I said, hey, there's only one problem. I don't like Sam. And he hit me with a hard truth that I'm going to repeat to you with love. He said, Chandler, it doesn't matter if you like it, you got to learn it. If you build it, they will not come. Right? If you want to publish this book, if you want to change a bunch of lives with this book, you can't change their life if they don't read the book. They can't read the book if they don't buy the book. And they can't buy the book if they don't know about it. And knowing about it means you got to become friends with Sam. This isn't your publisher's job. This isn't a marketing company's job. This isn't somebody else's job. It's your job as the author. You're the captain of your own ship. Number 4, all of these folks decided to get help. Okay, a little spoiler alert. I talked about this concept earlier. It's a life-changing concept. It's called who, not how. So who, not how says that anytime I run into a problem in my life or in my business, I ask the question, who has solved this before, not how do I solve it? Because if I can find the who, but then I can just pay them for a shortcut, right? And I had a friend one time, he said, Chandler, there are no new problems in your business. There's not. I'm like, what? Hold up. I'm special, man. Don't you know? I'm so special that all of my problems are unique to me. And he said, no, they're not. Literally every problem that you're running into in your life or in your business has been solved by someone else, 100% of them. So it's your job to find the who that has solved that problem and then learn from them, right? That's the beautiful thing about books is the smartest, most successful people on the planet have written and published books. All you have to do is buy the book, take a few hours to read it. I call it a $15 mentor, right? And then you learn the best things that they know. So that's what I did when I decided to write my first book. And that's what all of these folks did with us with selfpublishing.com. They said, hey, I want to go faster, further with this book. Who's the best? Chandler and selfpublishing.com. Okay, perfect. Let me just work with them and learn directly from them. Number 5, they made a decision to get started now. The funny thing about writing a book is for a lot of people, it's on the maybe someday list. It's on the maybe next year list. I don't know if I have time to write a book. Is the timing right? Oh yeah, this is a good idea. Next year, maybe someday. Well, guess what? Maybe someday becomes maybe never for most people, right? They just put it off and they never get around to it. I've been in the game long enough, over a decade, to see this play out. The people who told me and us maybe someday, guess what? They still don't have their books done. All right, we've had people come back years later and say, oh my gosh, I know I told you last time that I was going to do it next year. I still haven't done it. Let's work together. So that's the big differentiator is you got to make a decision to get started now. I think a lot of people, they imagine this time where they've got no job, no kids, no responsibilities, no nothing, and they're just going to, get in a writer's cabin or something and write their book. Spoiler alert, it's not going to happen, right? You got to get started before you're ready. There's never a perfect time to write a book. We've had pregnant moms about to have a kid and they're like, all right, well, I got to get the draft done before I have this baby, right? Or we've had people with a bunch of kids running around saying, I'm going to wake up 1 hour earlier. Or 8-figure CEOs saying, okay, I know that this book is going to give me leverage. So I've got to carve out some time. I got to tell my team, don't bother me for this 3-month stretch while I write this book. But either way, the thing that preceded that is them making a decision to get started now. So if you're in this boat right now and you're thinking, hey, maybe someday, maybe next year, you got to commit to yourself and commit to this book. Move from inspiration to implementation with this book. So many people, they just keep putting it off. If you do that, you're never going to get it done. Those 100 people, they all made a decision to get started. Maybe it was 90 days ago. Maybe it was a year ago. They were watching a video like this and they said, I'm getting in the game. So those are the 5 things. That's the differentiator between the people who get their books done and the dreamers, the wannabe authors, the people who are like, hey, maybe someday. That's the 5 differentiators. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment below. Did I miss one? Is there a trait that I missed? Or are you committed to getting in the game? Comment, I'm committed below. I read and respond to every single comment. So if you got value from this video, comment below, like the video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next one.